and see where we stand.
In terms of the school?
Well, in terms of this particular site, that I'm not certain.
I'm sorry, but what do you call it? You know, all DC schools are supposed to be going through modernization. So you can Google DCPS modernization plan. They don't have it on the website, but usually when I pull it up, they'll do a search to the archives and you can find it that way. They have every school listed with their modernization plans, and so it does have Marshall's information on there. They were supposed to be modernized starting next year, but that's obviously another issue. But I'm not sure specifically what the requirements are in order for the school to be compliant, but I do know, like, you have a student who is in a wheelchair. She has very limited physical capacity at all. So when she came, they put a ramp over there and did some things to make sure she could get around the building where she needed to. Obviously there's an elevator here,
right.
But it doesn't seem as if it would be impossible to implement things to make sure people can get up and down the stairs safely and those types of things.
They would have to actually take place.
Right.
And then with the school closing, with the separate accesses, will we have access to that? Things like that.
And those are also things that really should have been presented to the DC City Council when you're considering closing the school in the first place. How the partnership would work and those types of things. Those were some of the things I think I brought up in what I submitted, but those are definitely concerns that the neighborhood needs to be addressing with them as well. What happens to the recreation facility if the school does close? What does that do?
And not only do they need to have access to the building to get to the pool, they actually have to have clear entry into the pool. So
Right.
there need to be a sloped
Right.
entry, things that are not actually in place now. So. All right.
And have the budget everything together as to how much something like that would cost?
Well, yes, that's what we have to meet with our maintenance agency.
No budget no.
We don't handle. We just program and staff. EGS handles all of the maintenance for our facilities. Thank you all. I appreciate it, and I will take these concerns up. And please feel free to call, email me, and if you have any other questions or concerns, if you have anyone interested in being a lifeguard, and I will absolutely get back to you. And happy holidays. Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Peterson, Juanita Peterson, she's supposed to come from the Cultural Center, and so is Mr. Jones. Did he give you a call, Mr. Pearson? Mr. Jones? Okay. Said he couldn't go, and he couldn't make it. We're also going to have someone from the councilman McDuffie's office to call. We'll send someone out to speak with us. And nobody returned my call. I called a week ago. So that's it.
Well, let me say about Councilmember McDuffie's office that I did speak with.
You did, someone call you? Okay.
Yes, we'll speak with his chief of staff. And she said that today they're having their annual holiday party. And so his entire staff is assisting with that. She said, though, that she had been in contact with the chief of staff for the Department of Parks and Recreation, and that Councilman McDuffie was going to attempt to identify money in the budget to meet any funding needs that the school has necessary to open the pool. I asked her to send me that summary in an email. She said she would when we talked late this morning. However, before I left at 6 p.m., I had not received her email summarizing what Councilmember McDuffie has committed to do in that regard.
Well, I talked to Mr. Jones at the Cultural Center about some boulders or metal, I guess you call them metal boulders that they should have put in place in the park. Because when people come in to have picnics, they park on our grass. I'm sure most of the residents have seen that. they just, our grass looks so nice this year. Most of the time it has. They park their cars all over the grass. You're supposed to come in and let your people off if you have seniors, come back out of the park. Not stay, cars are not supposed to stay up in the park. And we're having a lot of that. My home is directly in front of the gazebo. All summer long, the grass is just full of cars. And I thought it was ridiculous. I called this district. They came out. They're supposed to monitor the park because it says closed at dark. But of course, I haven't seen anything happen as far as them, 5th District monitoring to them. They have gone up there to quiet the music down. That's about the only thing. So Mr. Jones did say that he would, speak to us on trying to have that put in place. So the cars would be able to enter there and park on that. Also, yeah, the park on the grass. You can still drive up in there, but not park your car on the grass. Okay. They had wooden ones there years ago when I first moved here, but now they look like they're all laying on the ground.
Could I say, just in terms of following the agenda, are we now on new business? Because we finished with the swimming pool, right, which is on the agenda. Now talking about something else, is that new business?
Well, the swimming pool is on, that was part of the swimming pool, but that's part of my committee work. So,
Because this wasn't dedicated to committee work, just the swimming
I
pool.
bet you want to talk about the pool and only,
Talk about new business, anything else?
well, it would be new business. It's new business. Yes, it is. So that's what I'm saying, in my area. What's my thoughts?
We just talked about the coffee.
Right, it was something else.
And who's the person that opens the gate for us when we rent space? That's the
Somebody
sheriff.
from Parks and Rec. Somebody come up from Parks and Rec. People rent that park, they pay to use that park. And so Parks and Rec opens the gate and lets you in.
Well, they should be the ones that are telling me.
Well, when I called downtown, that's what they said to me. They're instructed not to park on the grass, clean up, or they don't get their deposits back. But this is all, they told me, but I don't know what's happening. But it seemed like it's not sticking because that's something that we need to touch people still. So I haven't seen it happen this summer. It's going on for years. They still park on the grass.
Okay, so now we're down to new business and announcements. And it looks like 15 is vacant. Does anybody have any announcements?
Regarding the 5th District crime report, I sent an email to Officer, I think his name was in the minutes from the last meeting, the same gentleman who presented the crime report at our last meeting last month. I sent him an email yesterday asking him specifically to address developments like the person who was found deceased in Fort Lincoln Park earlier this week, and a report of someone being robbed on Fort Lincoln Drive on December the 6th. So I'm surprised that he's not here. I thought he was going to be a regular person reporting each month. And we had, through Commander Solberg, arranged for someone to be present at each one of our Civic Association meetings. So I don't know if they thought it was a one-time thing in November, but to make sure, I sent the gentleman a email yesterday in anticipation of his making his presentation today. So I don't know why there isn't a representative of the 5th District here. It's important too because one of the requirements for our having the use of this space is that we provide our own security. And so the commander said he would have an officer here for that dual purpose. One, to give a crime report, and two, to satisfy the requirement for the use of the space that we provide, either pay them to provide security or have security in the form of a police officer. So it was very important to us to satisfy that requirement by having a police officer present. I'm just befuddled as to why there isn't a police officer present at least by 7:30, which is the time I estimated in my email to them that we'd be ready for the crime report. So I'll follow up on that because it's important. We can't use this facility if we don't have a police officer present. And they committed to do that.
And certainly, see, this is just a piggyback. Certainly, we should see somebody in light of what happened recently here. And I was looking around when I drove up in here and got out of my car. My comfort level has been disturbed.
I specifically asked about the email for him to address. They have flyers apparently out with a description, either of the deceased person or some suspect or something. I asked him to bring copies of the flyers, which were up at the Higgins Cultural Center, according to Joseph Witherspoon, who was at Petersburg, who I thought would be here tonight. He says they have flyers that they have posted up on the entrance to the Cultural Center. I don't know if it's of the deceased person who according to the Washington Post, it said, this is what the story in the Washington Post says. D.C. homicide detectives are investigating a possible killing in Northeast Washington that occurred close to an elementary school, although there does not appear to be a connection to the school, officials said. Commander Andrew Sorberg said Monday the body of a man was found about 11 a.m. The man's name has not been released. He died of an apparent gunshot wound, police said. The man was found in the 3100 block of Fort Lincoln Drive near Marshall Elementary in the district's new Costco store. So it appears they haven't ruled out suicide as opposed to a homicide. Yeah, and I would have thought that this flyer that they're distributing would shed some light on that and that the officer would be able to update us on that.
They're not circulating to all the buildings. They should be circulating to all the buildings, especially my building down here, Westinghouse. This is the first I heard of a flyer.
Yeah, what flag?
He said he wanted to see his building.
I just said I asked the officer to bring the flyers with him.
The reason I was piggybacking on what you said is, to me, it's just outrageous that they wouldn't come tonight. In view of what just happened out here, somebody should have showed up, and then you called to remind them.
Emailed him.
It still didn't work.
Remember the officer gave us his email address when he was here last? John Sprague was his name. And he said, just email me anytime. Also email 911 or call 911. But you can email me anytime.
Did you
And
follow up with the commander?
we have
Also
a,
supposed to follow up with the commander. He suggested that too, because of the fact that he may or may not be able to get your email or your call.
well, I thought he said also call 911. But in any event, about the specific thing of coming to tonight, I sent him an email yesterday, but we had already received from the commander an email saying that he would, as part of the whole approval process for the use of this room, would make an officer available and instruct Commander
That was
Corrine.
repeated yesterday.
What was repeated yesterday?
What you said, the commander's assurance that we would have an officer here.
No,
Was that reported?
to me,
Repeated?
no, it was not. It was a reminder to them that pursuant to that understanding, in writing from the commander, that we'll be meeting tonight at 6:30 p.m. The time for his report probably reached around 7:30, and that would he specifically focus in on the person who was flyers and the person who was reportedly found deceased, and also in the Washington Post there's a report of someone who had been robbed of his coat and his shoes on Fort Lincoln Drive on December 6th. I asked him specifically to address that topic tonight. There was no need for me to ask him whether the policy was still in effect of coming each month, because I already have that in writing from the commander.
Well, our door is open right now.
Are you going to follow up on it? Will you follow up?
I'm not the chairperson of the Public Safety Committee.
Yeah, I mean, from now on, I'll call Lieutenant Hughes and have him see somebody each month.
Now, next month, there's supposed to be a presentation by the 5th District on the Meet the 5th District, the 2013 Crime Prevention and Detection Strategy for Fort Lincoln, to which the Commander, Lieutenant Corrine Hughes, Kathy Lanier, Councilmember Kenyon McDuffie were to be invited. That's the next thing on our speaker series. obviously it's an opportune time to address what is your plan, especially once this shopping center opens, for dealing with the influx of people expected when you have a shopping center as a magnet for what used to be a very quiet community is going to be transformed. So what, for 2013, do they have in the way of a plan to address that? So hopefully they've been given advance notice and they'll follow up and commitments to appear at our next meeting in January.
So the body was found up there in the park, was in the park. So they don't know whether homicide or suicide.
All the information I have, I've gotten from various news reports on television. That's all I have.
But if it was suicide, you had to have a weapon. You shot AIDS. Who told you
I can't speak to that. All I know is that somebody did find it, and that's all I know, and that's absurd.
well, they said on the news, my
Nothing's on circulating around that. There should be more circulation.
Let's keep
There should be more circulation.
Since I haven't seen anything, I don't know if it's really circulating. That's the other time. You said more circulating. I haven't seen anything.
Excuse me. Point of order. Okay, next thing, anybody have any announcements to make or comment?
Well, we received, I don't know, where I live, when I came up this morning, I had a little card in the door. Telling you about, there's some police department, how to protect yourself. So much crime is going on here. Did you have one?
No.
It was like a 3x5 printed card was in my door. And I don't know who else received it, and I should have brought it with me. So not to be using cell phones, or texting, don't pull your cash money out in the public, and watch your surroundings. In my door, I don't know what it is.
All right, good. All right. About the bus routes changing. Ms. Honeywood and Ricker, we went to a hearing that they had on the Ward 5. And council member Mary Bowser was there. She's on the board of Metro. So I got a call from her office saying that they're not going, that she's not part of changing of the rules. And they're not going to do anything just yet. Because they say it's not happening, it's hurting more than it's happening. So I guess the B9 and the B8 and the H6 will all stay the same. It was the B9 that they want to discontinue the route. And that's the bus that the seniors and disabled get to go down to Home Manor Shopping Center for their food and for their their medicines and the bank and everything pertaining to everyday living. So that's one they wanted to cut out, and then they're gonna reroute the B8. The B8 was going down Blakeburg Road, turn on Montana, and then going up to Rhode Island and then to Rhode Island Station. So, and the H6 is gonna stay the same. The what? And then I was thinking, if they close the school, there'd be students going, or they're gonna bus, the students that go to this school gonna be going to Langdon School.
Isn't that T Street?
So what now?
Isn't that T Street next to McKinney?
Langdon?
Uh-huh.
No, Langdon's up there on 20th and Ebar.
How about the rec center up there, Trinity?
You do. I haven't seen it.
school.
It's right across from the school.
What is it, Old Castle? Is it Old Castle?
No, it's a Langdon school. It's a charter school now. It used to be a public school. This is a charter school, I think. It's an elementary school.
Just a note about the notification in the newspaper about proposed changes of the bus routes. That was found in the back of the sports section. It was like they didn't want anybody to see it. I clipped it. But it's just, you know, if we don't stay on that, they'll go ahead and do what they want to do, because they plan to do it in the spring of 2013.
When I take back, busting at the seams.
So that is what's
They'll just get quiet about it because they know that I think that's, you know, they will not do it. But I don't believe that, not yet.
Are we still on the buses?
Yes.
Got distracted. Do we have, I don't know when you had this conversation with Councilmember Bowser, whether it was recently or way back when they had the hearing on November 23rd?
That's what she said, November the 23rd.
Is that when you had the
Yeah, I
conversation?
went to the, her office called me on the, I think it was the 14th,
Of December?
14th of December, yes.
Okay, so this is an update, saying they've already voted on it and they're going to maintain the status quo.
Right.
It has been voted on.
Because when I went on their website,
They didn't say anything about voting on it, they said they haven't done anything, I thought they hadn't done anything yet, but the, council members not for it, said, you know, it's doing more harm than helping.
well, it was officially on the agenda in December for them to vote on it. And the staff recommendation was pretty much what their original proposal was, except they were going to have it double loop. The B8 bus was going to do a double loop around Fort Lincoln like the old B9 used to, or like the B9 currently does. Otherwise, they pretty much going forward with the same proposal they had before. And I don't know what the outcome of that vote was, but we obviously would be very interested in finding out what the final vote was. The staff recommendation was that they go right ahead with the proposal, with the exception that in addition to eliminating B9, the B8 would circle Fort Lincoln twice. But that would be the only, otherwise they're going to eliminate the B9.
They're gonna definitely eliminate B9.
So I'm just saying we should get something in writing. If you could contact Councilmember Bowser's office about her sending us what the actual vote was, because it was in December, they voted on it in December, so that we could communicate to the community what the final outcome was.
All right, no more, anybody any announcements? Comments? If not, adjourn.